Hello, everybody. I want to thank you for being on tonight. Those who could be on, I know this is being recorded as well, so people have access to this presentation later on. This is our presentation tonight on our 2021 capital levy. But before I get started, I want to let folks know that if you need translation interpretation, there's interpretation available by accessing the interpretation button below. Si necesitan escuchar en español, hay un botón abajo en la pantalla para para escuchar en español también. And also, just want to get started with the brief in terms of where we're at currently in our reentry plan before we get started with our presentation. Right now, so today we have our kindergarten, first and second grade kids in our schools in a hybrid format. Those students that wanted to come in, we made that available to them. Again, all K-1-2s are in as of Monday. The rest of elementary will be in our schools in a hybrid format beginning on April 12th, right after our spring break, and all secondary on April 19th as well. Again, 7 through 12, right on the 19th, and also in a hybrid format. So want to just let folks know that that's going to be happening here in April, and we will have a very strong summer program for learning, recovery, and acceleration for our students, as well as continuing to plan for fall reentry as well. So I just want to let folks know that, and also I know people may not be on. And just if you're a Zags fan, you have nothing to worry about tonight. Zags are in. So, and I'll turn it over to Harmony.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Balderas. Go Zags. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch our capital levy presentation. I do want to let you know that we will be taking questions following our presentation in the Q&A button if you're in the webinar. And if you're joining us live on YouTube right now, you're also able to leave comments and questions on that platform as well, and we'll be monitoring that and we'll get answers for you at the end of our presentation. First, we want to hear from some of our students about what is a capital levy.
What is a capital levy? It raises money to take care of our schools. Why do we need a capital levy? To make necessary improvements. What will we fix? Capacity challenges. Safety, security, and accessibility. Replace 2 very, very old schools. Some schools get new roofs, boilers, and safety improvements, just to name a few. What's it gonna cost? Passing the levy will keep a steady local education tax rate. When do grown-ups need to vote? Ballots arrive at the beginning of April. Vote before April 27th.
All right, thank you for that. And we will have a link to that on our social media platforms as well very soon, so you can watch that again and again. But let's go ahead and get started now with our presentation and the 2020 capital levy. So why do we need a capital levy? Next slide. We need to invest in our students. We also need to explain why we need a capital levy. So it's important to know that the state does not provide adequate funding for capital facilities. So the law allows districts to ask for local assistance through levies and bonds. And there are the 4 areas we really want you to walk away with tonight about learning about the 2021 capital levy are to make necessary improvements to preserve our buildings, safety, security, and accessibility. We need to focus on capacity challenges and replace aging schools. So I want to explain a little bit, how did we get here on this 2021 capital levy? So during the summer of 2019, after 2 years of community involvement, it was determined that the capital project needs for our district totaled $1.7 billion. That's B billion. And it's important to know that the 2 years of this group analyzing and looking at our facilities, these are needs. These are not just new kitchen counters that just will look cute and you want to get them to look nice. These are specific needs that we really need in our buildings. And again, that was 1.7 billion. So it was decided to put 600 million out to voters on in February 2020 for a bond. That bond was unsuccessful. But during the summer of 2020, in the midst of COVID, the school board decided that we really needed to move forward with some of the critical projects. So they looked at all the projects that were proposed on the bond, looked at the dollar amount of the bond and impact of any new tax measures that could affect our taxpayers. So then in the fall of 2020, they decided that they were going to focus on the 4 points I said earlier, and the 2 schools that they would focus on replacing would be Spruce Elementary and Oak Heights Elementary. And then in October 2020, the board approved a capital levy that would provide $30 million a year for the next 6 years. And I will explain more about the financial aspects of the capital levy in a little bit. But also we want to talk about, why do a capital levy now? Well, we have critical needs for our district. Our students are coming back into our buildings. Many of them are back now, more are coming back in the next few weeks, as Dr. Balderas, our superintendent, pointed out. And it's also important to note that the longer we wait, the more it will cost. Prices go up, costs go up. And also, if we don't fix things, a small, more or less than issue in one of our facilities can turn into a major problem and create more financial burdens for our community and our district. So when we talk about making necessary improvements to preserve our buildings, we're talking about roofs and gutters, boilers, building exteriors, and heating, cooling, and ventilation systems. So those HVAC systems. And I want to show you some pictures of some of the work that needs to be done. So here's a look at College Place Elementary School, and you can look at the roof there. There are cracks and drainage issues. The roof is more than 20 years old and definitely at the end of its life cycle. If we don't replace it soon, it will just continue to cause costly maintenance issues. Then let's go over to Cedar Way Elementary School, which needs a new boiler. This is the original boiler from when the school was built in the 1950s. So that is not a picture from a history book. That is the current boiler. And the capital levy would allow for a new and energy efficient boiler at that school. And then we're going to head over to Mount Lake Terrace High School, which on the left of the screen, you will see the old boiler, which would be replaced with a new energy efficient one. And on the right, you can see the current 30-year-old HVAC system, which would also be replaced. So now we want to talk about how the capital levy would also fund safety, security, and accessibility projects. And those include upgrading fire alarm panels and sprinkler systems, improving fencing, gates, and signage, and also district-wide accessibility improvements. And that could be something like an automatic door opener to one of our buildings to help those who need that access. Then we also have capacity challenges. So our capacity is a challenge at our district. Our elementary schools are at 107% capacity. This overcrowding exists now, and it will likely continue with further future growth in enrollment. And solution to these challenges would include adding building capacity for the existing overcrowding through installing relocatables. So this is a look at some of our relocatable classrooms. We have 44 of these spread out through over the district. And the purpose of putting these at schools is to add space. But and the hope is that with the building of replacing Oak Heights, which currently has, I believe, 8 relocatables, if we would then be able to use these at other spaces. So the idea of them being called relocatables is that we can move them around to where the biggest need is of capacity in the district. And so we will continue to use those as ways to address that issue. And then we also would be able to get new covered play areas at elementary schools. And this isn't just to keep kiddos out of the rain, because this is the Northwest. It's more to allow the district to deal with bigger capacity issues, which is shared gym and cafeteria space and just not having enough areas for our kids at some of our elementary schools because of the capacity challenge. So this is another way that we could address it. And here is an example of what what a covered play area would look like. And then we would also be able to replace 2 of our aging schools. The district will complete phase 2 of Spruce Elementary. And I want to show you a couple pictures of this, just to paint a picture of what Spruce is dealing with now. Not only is it an old building that has all the challenges that come with that, but it's just not built for today's safety and security needs as well. This is their entrance into the main office. And as you can see, there's no windows or any access right there for office staff to have a view on who's coming and going. And it's just not designed for today's needs. And I think it's also important to point out that replacing schools is actually more financially, it's better because it's more cost effective to actually replace a school than to just fix it to all the needs that many of our buildings have. So the others, one more point to Spruce is that it's the capacity issue and not having the space support our learners. And I want to talk a little bit about why the district was able to build phase 1 of Spruce if we had waited a few years to begin the new build. And if approved by voters at the end of April, which starts in a few days, April, but address the capacity issues for that area and also design it for today's ways of what our voters and taxpayers are paying. So in 2018, if you look there on the far left of your screen, you'll see that taxpayers were paying $4.76 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. And then you can ask your question or leave a comment. And it's just a great way for the district to help find the right answer for you with the right department, the right school. Our goal and Dr. Balderas' goal is just to improve, how we can quickly respond to our community and get you the information that you need. So next slide. All right, so who benefits from the 2021 capital levy? Our students, our families, our staff, and our community. And so that is the end of our presentation, and we thank you for being here with us tonight. We do have the question and answer button at the bottom of your screen if you're on the webinar, or again, if you're joining us live on YouTube right now, you can ask your questions there. So we will check and see, and if there's no questions, that is just fine too. I think that we must have answered everyone's questions.